The main character is never tired.
You've got 24 hours.
Would you have loosened your grip a little bit if I stuck my thumb in your eye?
You're the creator of the movie. You can just make what you want. You can make it close. I've got one that really annoys me.
Welcome to Backseat Directing,
where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
We put out new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And on today's episodes, we're going over movie tropes.
3, 2, 1, action.
I almost said the title to a different episode that we're not even filming this week.
I almost just completely forgot to do the countdown, which is like half the time.
Yeah, you normally forget to do the countdown. There's like in your head, there's a countdown for you to say the countdown.
We have to do like the ADR or whatever post-recording to add in the countdown.
Yeah, have to edit out the little gap. All right, today we're talking about movie tropes. This comes up all the time when we're just like watching movies and hanging out and stuff. We're like, oh, I hate it when movies do this, or like this is very stereotypical of movies, you know. And today we each made a list. And we don't know what's on each other's list. I'm sure there's some overlap.
Yeah, just to clarify what a movie theme is before we go forward, for anyone who's like a trope, like you might know what that means, or maybe anybody doesn't know. So the term movie trope, when you first look it up, it says it's like a common or overused concept, theme, event, general occurrence we're talking specifically in like, I'm not going to limit it, but movies, TV shows, stuff like that, like common things in storytelling that you see and you might be like, ugh,
yeah,
this again.
Yeah. My list, as you were saying that, is pretty much all things that like don't really happen that way besides in the movies.
And my list, like as far as movie tropes go, my list is pretty much like the things that annoy me.
Yeah.
Like it's not really like, there are things that happen all the time. I saw, just like looking around for potential movie tropes, I saw somebody say slow motion, and like slow motion doesn't annoy me. Like, slow motion can be used wrong. We've talked about it ad nauseum before, but I don't consider that one of my tropes for this list because slow motion can be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Mine is definitely more like little moments, not necessarily like themes or story plot themes, you know? I got it in there.
An Easter egg.
The true fans will know.
We can't just laugh the whole episode. So
I know.
So are you ready to just kick this off with you? And I'll extend the hand to you to go first.
Ooh, you want me to go first? Yeah. My first one is something that happens a lot, and it's breaking through glass, and it's like effortless, you know, or like they can just knock it with their elbow or jump across a building like in the Bourne Ultimatum and crash through this window. Like,
dude, the guy
come on.
In the opening of Wanted, he jumps through the glass and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
But he's just covered in glass and it's just like an armor around him with no damage to him.
Or it's like, I need to break into this building. I'm just going to break the glass above the door handle and then unlock the door. Like, it's not as easy to break the glass as just punching it with your elbow or something, you know?
Another thing we want to bring up in this episode too is like movies that break this mold, or movies that like point and laugh at the movie tropes in like a meta way. For that reason, have you seen Nice Guys?
Yeah, I have.
Oh my God, I love that movie. It's so funny. Such a good like early cult classic kind of movie. And I say early, it's early to call it a cult classic. I don't think it's that old, but it's so funny. And that's my favorite scene. I've died laughing when he punches the glass and he's just,
Exactly.
So also potential spoiler alert here now that I think of it for like a bunch of movies.
Yeah, for any movie. Just be warned. If you haven't watched movies, don't watch this episode.
No, we won't do anything too crazy.
No, that's not really a spoiler. That's more of
these
just
are all
a joke.
Small scenes in movies, but God, that scene is so funny and it's so accurate. You punch your hand through like a window, like a car window or something, and it's literally you're just punching through like razor sharp. It's like through like a bunch of knives.
They either don't have any like scrapes or cuts or anything, or they just do it so easily. Like, I don't think I could punch through a glass window.
It's so hard to punch through like a car window is what I keep coming back to. Those things are like thick.
Yeah. Like you get in a car crash and it's sometimes they don't even crack, like let alone your hand.
The weight of like a 2,000-pound car smashing into it doesn't always break the window.
Yeah.
Well, not that it hits exactly on the window, but you ready to, I'll go on to our next one.
Yeah.
Mine is you've got 24 hours.
No.
Was that one?
That's not enough time.
It's such a common thing is like you've got 24 hours, you've got 72 hours, and it's always like a gargantuan task. It's like all right, you have to find this guy. Only thing we know about him, he's in Brazil. You've got 24 hours. All of Brazil.
Yeah.
It's always something like that. And a good movie that made me think of this, that pokes fun at this, is Into the Spider-Verse, the first movie where he's like, these are pretty standard Spider-Man stakes. Like, he's about to say, you've got 24 hours. And then Kingpin's like, you've got 24 hours.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then also kind of another little trope within that one is that the main character is never tired throughout this 24, 72-hour time frame. Like they don't sleep. They just are go, go, go.
And they'll be like checking their watch and they'll be like, it's the 23rd hour. It's like, dude, I haven't seen you drink any water. Yeah. I haven't seen you stop sprinting.
And maybe that's all implied. Maybe they're doing it on their own time. But like, man, that's a lot.
You got a tough 24 hours. You're superhuman.
Yeah. I did not have that one on my list, but that's a good one. This one is one that we were talking about when we kind of came up with like this idea for the episode, and that's when someone's in a headlock and they're getting choked out, and the person getting choked is just like flaring their arms all over the place. Like, what are you doing? Like, at least try to hit the person or put a hand in.
You try to like wrench their arm off of you. Like, don't just flail.
Yeah, like doing this you're gonna pass out. Like at least like try to punch them in the face, hit them in the gut, do something.
But from that position, what inevitably ends up happening, the next movie trope, they'll like flail and like touch the only usable weapon in the vicinity. They're like, oh, there's a lead pipe right there.
Yeah. I mean, just grab their face and jab your thumb in their eye. Like
something, yeah.
Right? Like
there's no like league rules here.
Yeah.
You're getting choked to death by a villain.
I mean, so when we were talking about this, you put me in a headlock because we wanted to see like how easy it is.
Story.
Yeah, how easy it is to get out.
Children.
Like, would you have loosened your grip a little bit if I stuck my thumb in your eye?
I would have let go immediately because, like, I would have you back away from something like stabbing you in the eye.
Yeah.
You would be like push them off you. Would you not?
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I'm thinking too. Like,
just tough it out.
Like, do something realistic or somewhat realistic. Like. But yeah, that one's always funny. What's your next one?
This is one that genuinely really annoys me, and it's running in a straight line with whatever is falling on you or whatever tidal wave or whatever, instead of running like perpendicular to like a source of cover. So like if somebody is shooting you, it's like shooting at you, and they're running straight in the path of the bullets, like 30 yards, like
Yeah, but what if they're faster than the bullets?
like run to the side. It's all the time. It's a big thing people said about like Prometheus, right? There's like a scene in Prometheus where like this big ship or tower or whatever is like coming down, and you can see like if they have like 100 feet to run if they run forward, and they've got like 20 feet to run if they just go to the side, and they always run straight, like because it's more dramatic to have that close finish.
Yeah.
But it's like
you can still have a close finish by going to the side.
like going the fastest possible route. You
Yeah.
can just, you're the creator of the movie. You can just make what you want. You can make it close.
They can still be smart but also almost die.
Yeah. Like in create a scenario that makes sense. Like Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. It makes sense because maybe he could get out of the way of the boulder some way. I don't remember the scene perfectly, but either way, he has to run straight because the boulder is going to seal the opening of that tomb.
Yeah, there's no way for him to really go sideways. Yeah.
So, and yeah, I don't think it even seemed like there was a way to get out of the way in the first place, but no matter what, the plot, the design of the event, he has to run the way he's running.
Right.
It makes sense.
Yeah. This one is probably the biggest one that I see, and I'm immediately like, oh my gosh, like, come on now, really? And that's carrying someone for miles, especially when they're just carrying them in front of them on their biceps. It's like, if I were to hold you, I don't know, maybe 100 meters, before I have to like take a break, like just
All right.
in my bicep. Not even like if it's over the shoulder, okay, I can go a little further.
Mr. CrossFit over here hitting us with the meters.
Yeah, sorry.
Are you European or something?
Yeah,
But the thing,
it's a better way of measurement.
there's a lot of things. We can go on and on with a list of things in movies where like we sit on the couch and we're like, I can guess how hard that would be. But if you ever try to like carry somebody a distance, this is an easy one to check and be like, you'd be like 20, 30 feet in and be like, dang,
Yeah.
that's super unrealistic.
Like the part that, or the movie example for this that really sticks out to me is True Grit. When he's carrying Haley Steinfeld's character, I forget her name in the movie, but he carries her for what seems to be miles. And
Rooster Cogburn, I remember.
he's
main
an
character.
old man.
Yeah.
And he's injured and has had a long day, and he's just carrying her and carrying her and carrying her. And it's not like she's holding on either. Like she's kind of like passed out, from the snake bite.
Yeah.
So
Thinking of other ones now as we
Yeah.
talk. You want me to bring this new one to the table?
yeah,
So first of all, the thing with people being carrying people for miles, I think of the scene All Quiet on the Western Front. I do not know how far he carries that guy. But the thing that both of these movies make me think of is like when somebody gets like perilously wounded, but everything's okay as long as it's basically anything but a headshot. And I know the human body can survive a lot. We can survive a lot of blood loss. We can survive a lot of wounds, like and impact, trauma. We can survive like car accidents. But when somebody's shot in the stomach, that doesn't mean they get to just live because it wasn't a headshot.
Yeah.
Like you'll see people get shot all over the place. It's like, dude, if you don't get medical attention to that shot in your arm, shoulder, whatever, I don't care if it didn't hit vital organs. You only have so much blood in your body. Like, but movies act like, no, it's okay.
Whew, missed the head.
They have like the doctor look at it and they're like, yeah, it's through and through. Okay, through and through. He's bleeding now out of the front and the back. That little bandage you put on is not going to do that much for that long.
I have another movie trope that I've seen come out more recently, and that's putting bandages over top of clothing to stop blood. It's like, that's not really
Not quite
how
as
it works.
effective.
Yeah, it's got to be like on the wound under the clothing.
Yeah, you got to create like a firm. I mean, and you want to protect against infection. You want to really have firm pressure on that to stop the bleeding as long as possible. And ideally, you would apply that pressure until like medical attention was there.
Yeah, and like, how hard is it to just put the bandage underneath the clothing for the movie? Like, we know that they got shot. You don't have to remind us with a visible bandage at all times. Soaking up the blood over top of their shirt. Like, at least make it somewhat realistic.
Yeah, and like the bandage also doesn't preclude pain. Like shot in the shoulder is going to hurt whenever you move any part of that arm. It doesn't like, oh, they're bandaged up now. Now they're like reading maps and like continuing to look for the treasure.
I'm gonna skip down my list here because I don't want you to say it first. But I feel like I could probably wait a little bit. But the next movie trope I'm gonna talk about is the Fast and the Furious. Just that's it.
That's a concept.
That's it.
So it's basically the concept of a movie, just every sequel explosively getting bigger than the last.
Yes, basically. And like how all of these, there's so many like tropes within this. Like how these normal humans have superhero abilities that aren't explained, and they seemingly get stronger and stronger from each movie to movie to movie.
Dude, Dom Toretto stomps out a parking garage.
Yeah. Well,
Dom Toretto versus parking garage.
Hobbs
Dom
Shaw
Toretto wins.
in Hobbs and Shaw, Hobbs breaks his cast. He's in a full arm cast and just muscles out of it.
Presumably he was in that cast, right? Because his arm was broken.
Yes.
Did he super heal?
He's like, oh no, I have to go on a mission now.
He also like pulls a helicopter.
Yes, he does the Captain
and Shaw.
America scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he's just holding on to a helicopter, and I think it's a tow truck, and he's holding the helicopter down.
Dude, and I think Transformers does it too. I think Transformers sacrifices plot for bigger and more
Transformers like kind of makes sense, right? That they're big alien robots.
It has an excuse for the nonsense.
Yeah, there's a
doesn't have an
reason.
excuse.
There's a reason for it, and they set those expectations right away. Like from the first few films. But with this, it was like just street level, and now they're in space.
Is there anything else you can think of that does it quite like Fast and the Furious? I don't know if anything does it quite the same.
Not quite the same, but I mean, even John Wick, right? Like, he has this was another one on my list, immunity to fall damage.
But it really upgrades in Parabellum.
Yeah.
Parabellum is insane.
Like,
even in chapter 4, just the stair fall, the endless stairs.
he wanted to fall down those stairs. He was having fun.
I felt like I could see where the stuntman was continuing to tumble in that scene, like continuing to throw himself into the more stairs.
Especially, yeah, like definitely like right over the flat, plateau portion of the stairs. Yeah, he's like, gotta jump here to go down the next flight of stairs.
Yeah, that was monumentally unrealistic.
But like when he falls off the building, like he died.
Go back and watch that TikTok, guys.
Yeah,
that TikTok
he died.
One we made about him.
So fall damage. Yeah, that was another one, like fall damage, just like superior strength, to what the human body is like capable of.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's fun. Like John Wick's a fun movie, but sometimes it could be explained a little better to make the movie make sense.
Yeah. I mean, we need some physics in there.
Yeah.
Where so many comments are going to be like, it's a movie.
Yeah.
Come on. Everybody gets annoyed at certain movie tropes.
Yes. And like little things that aren't necessarily making the movie better. Why not just do them right?
Yeah.
Like the bandage over
it's small.
the clothes. Like,
it's really true.
Why not just do it right?
Yeah. It's easy fixes.
Yeah. It's like you didn't do your research. It's just lazy.
It's also like the idea that other people have done it before in movies. Like your concept of what reality is going to look like in your movie is from a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that's not realistic. Like, take the little extra step and make your movie like break that mold and be the one that's realistic. It's not okay just because everyone was lazy before.
Yeah.
But my next one is another one that really annoys me is the way my next movie trope is the way people talk on the phone in movies. It's either the repeating everything that the person on the other line is saying so the audience knows the whole conversation, or it's the way that they hang up or answer the phone, which is really weird because they'll answer the phone silently or they'll hang up silently. That's because the conversation is like based on obviously the script, but it should seem real. They'd be like, answer the phone, click, and then they're like, hey, Bob's on the move, and he's like, nods his head in the room he's in, hangs up the phone. It's like no acknowledgement, like, okay, all right, got it. And there's no like, all right, bye, or like, I'll call you back in a minute. Like, it's
you want me to order pizza? Okay, I'll order pizza.
Like, there's no response. And then the other end of the spectrum of that is like them on the phone, like you only see the one side of the conversation, and they're like, okay, so Michael's coming over today. All right, awesome. And he's bringing the pizzas. It's like, who? I'd be like, on the other end of the phone, like, yeah, why are you saying everything I'm saying back to you? Yeah. Like, what the hell? Like, that's not how a normal conversation goes. And you can write the dialogue in a way where either you can still write it in a way where they're having a normal conversation, but you can tell what's happening. They can give like a normal response, like, okay, cool, like I want pepperoni. Like, then you know that they're getting pizza. Or you can have them hang up and catch everyone else in the room up to speed.
Or you can have it to where you can hear the other person on the phone.
That's always an option too. That's the easiest option.
Yeah.
Just play the audio of the other person on the phone, or show them both on screen, split the screen.
My next one is actually one that I saw on TikTok, and I was like, oh, like that'd be really cool to like, if we ever made a short film to use that
to break it.
Yeah. And that's a sword bind where they're locked in sword to sword, and they're just holding it there. And the guy who was doing the TikTok will show him like all these easy moves that like would actually happen if you were trained in sword fighting and stuff. I was like, that was so cool. Like, why don't movies do that?
Yeah, I mean, how many sword locks do we see across like Pirates, Star Wars, and by Pirates I mean Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah,
like any movie that uses swords, we see them in John Wick.
Yeah, I don't remember it too much in Pirates. They're normally a little bit distant, but it definitely happens.
I definitely feel like they're having a conversation at points.
That's Pirates. True. That's true. I feel like Star Wars, it happens a lot.
A lot. And you're like really close to like a laser sword. It's even more dangerous.
But yeah, just the moves that the guy on TikTok was showing that you could do, it was like really cool. And it's like, why don't they take advantage of that more often? You know, like there were still in his examples, they were still like locking swords, but they were like trying to get different leverage on it and moving around and stuff within that lock. And I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes right into another trope is just like weapons in general, you know, of like unrealistically being wielded or used, you know, like the never ending supply of arrows.
Yeah.
You know, like just little things like that, which I mean, it's no fun to watch
Yeah,
someone who shoots arrows not have any arrows.
But also then you're forced into when you write yourself into a corner, it's a chance to be creative. Because if Hawkeye runs out of arrows, you now are like, all right, what are we gonna do? And you can find a cool way to show he's cool without arrows.
Yeah, and he does get low on arrows and stuff, but
Yeah.
it doesn't happen very often,
Like
which is fine.
you have him just pick up like some rubble, make a weapon. Like maybe he has he's got to go around recovering arrows and using them again. Like that'd be awesome as he's like fighting and he's simultaneously pulling them out of like Chitauri. Like that'd be cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you write yourself into a corner, you write yourself out.
Or maybe Iron Man saves the day and he has this little mechanism that creates nanotech arrows.
That'd be cool if Iron Man just had like a supply drop, like just some little thing popped out of the thigh of the Iron Man suit, dropped. You saw like a care package into the ground, and then Clint just scoops that. Now he's got Stark Tech arrows.
Yeah,
Like
no one is anyone without Iron Man.
honestly, he's like he's the leader. I just pay for everything, make everyone look cool.
All right, what's your next one?
All right, I've got one that really annoys me, and that is touching evidence in a crime scene. And
Oh yes, oh,
they
that gives me
always
another one, too.
and I was just watching Bad Boys, which I told you had like every movie trope ever in it, and he's touching stuff at the crime scene with his bare hands. Like you'll often see them do it with gloves, or you'll see them
not really.
with a pen.
I feel like
In
they really
some
don't.
shows, and it's like more the shows that show more care. But
Yeah.
touching with your bare hands is the highest level of like the worst. Like,
Or like a pen, like okay, that's at least they're trying. But how often do you put a pen in your mouth?
but even
you know,
but
and
even-
then you're
yeah.
putting it on the crime scene.
But even if you touch it with a pen, you're changing the scene where like they're always doing it like before like CSI or whatever. So like whoever does the crime scene investigation, they want to take photos and put markers down, and like the photos will be something you can go back to weeks later if the crime still isn't solved, and use the photos to be like, all right, this is what the scene looked like. Now you've picked something up and moved it from where it originally was. Like don't do that. It's not good etiquette for a crime scene.
Yeah.
And they're always touching stuff. Like it's gonna mess with prints. It's gonna mess with all this stuff if you are gonna look for prints. Like,
Or like letting these random people into the crime scene.
yeah, like the family members push their way in. It's like, okay, you're a cop. Like, don't let them push past you.
Yeah.
No, that's my daughter in there.
Yeah.
Like they let them like
Or like
stomp all over.
or like this private investigator or mentalist or something who like gets to go onto the scene
A
because they're
psychic?
really smart. Yeah.
we love Psych.
Yes. That was one of my favorite shows growing up.
It's so good, and he probably does so many terrible things to crime scenes nonstop. But
A show off the top of my head that does a decent job, at least from memory. Maybe I'm missing some examples, but I feel like Dexter did a really good job.
I
of
think so
crime
too.
scenes.
I think so too, because Dexter himself is always arriving like with the crime lab team.
Yeah.
So it's always like a lot of taking pictures, a lot of
And from memory, they
a lot of
they
gloves.
always had like gloves on. They had like the wraps around
Yeah.
their shoes.
I mean, he wears gloves in like the posters for the show and stuff, the covers. Another movie that's really funny is Hot Fuzz. In Hot Fuzz, they go to a crime scene and like you can't even tell who's who because all of them are literally in full body like hazmat jumpsuits, and I think they're like making fun of like how casual and laissez-faire other movies are with the crime scene in that, because like Edgar Wright's kind of like a little bit meta as a director, a super underappreciated director in my opinion, by the way. Hot Fuzz is a super good movie. It's my favorite. It's my favorite of the trilogy of movies that he did with that group. But the best I'm getting off track, but the best Edgar Wright movie is Baby Driver. Anyways, the crime scene thing is just annoying because it's like gonna ruin the rest of the investigation.
Yeah, this next movie trope, which was based off of your crime scene one, is how cops search a building. No one has like done it right, and they're always have their gun straight out, you know, arms locked out. They're going around these corners with their gun first, You know, like they're standing in the middle of doorways for a long period of time. Like they're not what's called like slicing the pie, you know, like just kind of going through like when you go through a churn, you like slice the pie and you kind of clear it as you're churning. Um,
I mean, I think of examples like The Fugitive. In The Fugitive, they're all trying to get Richard Kimball, and it's like, I think it's Chicago. It's like the entire police department, he still gets out of this building. So like clearly they're not doing a good job. But I mean, our main character has to escape. I
yeah.
just don't think it was necessarily hard enough for him in that movie.
Well, I feel like it's not super hard to escape because if you're clearing a building properly or even like a house, like you have to be thorough or you're going to die. You know, like if you don't check that closet, you know, like, and you just check the room, like, well, you're probably missing the person that you're looking for. You know, like you didn't check under the bed, like that's probably where they're hiding.
That's a good movie trope too, is hiding under the bed is the worst place to hide. Who
right.
doesn't check under the bed? And people always
Apparently
die under the
everyone.
bed. You can't think of a single better spot. That's where the girl is in Taken.
Yeah.
And they do that thing where like the feet walk away, and I was like, well, they're coming back. Like I was like, there's no way they don't find her under the bed. Like,
Yeah.
most obvious place to hide.
Yeah, but whenever like cops are searching or basically whenever they have their gun out, it's like, oh, come on.
That's a good one. We could talk about guns in general. For
Yeah,
a
let's
while,
just
'cause-
learn gun safety a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
gun safety is ridiculous in movies, and people are way too quick to draw their gun. There's only specific scenarios where cops should even take their gun out, really,
Yeah.
and they know that as professionals. Like they're not going to take it out to make a point. They take it out if they feel endangered, and then the safety shouldn't be off until a certain point either. Your finger definitely better not be on the trigger unless you're going to fire. That's like one of the biggest points of gun safety is never put your finger on the trigger until you are ready to fire. You
Yeah.
don't just walk around with your finger on the trigger. You don't
you,
put your finger
you
on
always have it straight
Yeah.
going along the barrel there.
But credit where credit's due is a lot of movies will pay attention to that and give it its due. Like I feel like Triple Frontier does, Bourne movies, like movies, John Wick, movies that are
Prisoner does a really good job, and End of Watch is a really good cop movie as well. And both of those were Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he plays an amazing cop and detective.
I just watched Jarhead. He plays a good Marine too. And we have just also reached about our halfway point where I like to take a moment to thank our audience. We really appreciate everyone who listens or watches the show on any platform. Love you guys. It means a lot to you to take time out of your day, and hope you're having fun on this ride with us. We're having fun chatting about movies and shows. We also wanted to get into some comments from some listeners as well.
Yeah, let's do it. What do you got for us, Andrew? We post clips from our episodes on everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So Andrew's compiled a few comments from each of those platforms. Some of them are funny, some of them are mean, some of them are really complimentary.
Some of them are funny because they're mean. But while I'm thinking about it, you mentioned we post content every single day. We on our social media pages. We also post videos every Monday and Thursday.
Yeah, full
I'd like to
episodes.
reiterate that. And I also wanted to bring up the fact that we're planning a special event for our 100th episode.
Oh, dude,
while
I'm
we're
so
talking
excited.
to the audience, I'm so excited too. We're planning a Dungeons and Dragons event where we're going to have a group of friends over here. We're kind of newer to it, so we're going to have an experienced friend come along and kind of guide us as the DM. And we want to do like a long form episode, or maybe cut it into a few episodes.
Yeah, it'll probably be a 4-part series, and it will be kind of like in addition to our normal episodes. So it'll probably all come out basically as soon as the episode's done.
Yeah, it's going to be a
know.
blast, and we're excited to be quickly approaching that 100 episode mark. And it's going to be, we're planning a Marvel and DC themed, superhero themed campaign for our D&D event, and it should be freaking awesome. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention that on the show.
I'm so excited. And I didn't really know too much about D&D before this, but there's so much that goes into it. It's such a complex game, and I'm really excited to like dive into it and learn more about it.
Me too. Like I've been reading a little bit on the D&D manual and watching Critical Role. If you happen to know a lot about D&D and you happen to be watching this right now, you have any tips you want to give us, we're more than happy to hear that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited that it's going to be like superhero themed.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
going to be
I
a
think
fun
that's
one
really
for
cool.
sure. I've just been having fun building my characters. I know we're only going to use one for this campaign, but I've written a few backstories, and just the story building kind of like backstory is a lot of fun for me. So let's get into these comments. So the first one we have here is on a video that we posted about our episode that discussed The Dark Knight versus the Batman, which is a better movie. And this comment absolutely blew me away. Joe Lorenz said, both sucked horribly. If you're comparing as if there was no other Batman movie other than those two, then I guess y'all could be right.
What?
Literally saying they're basically the worst two Batman movies ever made, which I feel has got to be the most contrarian, one of the most disagreed opinions I could imagine in the world of.
Yeah, like what movie's his favorite?
I imagine probably Keaton, right? I mean, where else are you going to go? He's going to pick
I don't
Batman and
know.
Robin? Like, I don't think so. I think he's
Maybe Batman Begins or Rises.
I think he's talking 1989 because
Yeah.
that is just wild. I mean, to say that they're not your favorite, sure, but to say both sucked horribly in his own exact words.
That's crazy.
Mind-blowing. I mean, Joe.
That doesn't even make any sense, man.
Joe, I
You need to rewatch those movies.
maybe you got the names of the movies confused
Yeah.
with some other movies that are bad.
Maybe you thought we were talking about Thor or something. Like,
God, both sucked horribly. Yeah, I can't get over that.
what else do we got?
Let's stick on the Batman ones for the Dark Knight.
All right.
So for the Dark Knight versus the Batman episode, we also got the Dark Knight is only good because of Heath Ledger. That is it. I think that's similar to a point Aaron was bringing up in the debate, but I don't even think you would agree with that. That's a little extreme.
I was just saying that it wasn't a Batman film, like he didn't carry it, that the Joker carried the movie. But that doesn't mean that all the other performances weren't really good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And then let's see if there's any other we want to read right now. I want to save these other ones for when we're talking about Spider-Man, but I have one more here. So this one, we mentioned a comment already. This was also on the Dark Knight versus the Batman, one of our TikToks. A guy said, your podcast looks stupid as expletive. With the black cap guy, what a moronic opinion. We talked about that already, but we had a follow-up comment that responded to it saying, your podcast looks cool as especially with the black cap guy. What a genius opinion.
Let's go.
Shout out to our boy Keegan.
My man.
For the love.
My man.
Counteract the hate.
I love that guy right there.
The positive comments mean a lot, guys. We appreciate it.
Definitely.
Any comments mean a lot too.
They all help us out.
If you tell us something new, if you tell us you hate the show, it's still engagement, whatever it is. But the positive comments do feel nice.
Yes, definitely. Those two clips or comments were taken from episode 91, titled "The Dark Knight versus the Batman." So if you want to check out the full episode, you can head over to our YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcast page.
It's a full
Backseat
debate.
Directing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's a full debate. Aaron took the Batman and I took the Dark Knight. So that was a fun one for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, movie tropes, Andrew.
Let me back in, coach.
See. Okay, this one. We got Mission Impossible coming out here in a month or so. Maintaining a full sprint for longer than a full sprint can be maintained for. Tom Cruise has to do it in every single one of his movies, and every single time, it's awesome.
It is awesome. You know what I feel like does it really well is Baby Driver. I mentioned that movie earlier. At the end, there's like a long.
I haven't seen it yet.
You've got to watch.
I know.
It.
It's on the list.
There's a long run, but I feel like he has to stop and catch his breath a couple times in the length of that arc of the movie, and you see him getting visibly tired, and that's all. I feel like all it really takes. But there's parts where he can kind of like get a little bit of cover, and he'll get it like breathe really heavy, and then he'll have to go back into it.
Like you said, like when you're coming up or you encounter these tropes when you're writing a story, it's just there's oftentimes like simple things that you can put in to make it to where it's a little bit more believable or realistic, and it didn't even take that much to actually do it. Like your example, just add in him slowing down or make the distance not as far.
Yeah.
Or like just show these little things that make it seem like, oh yeah, like he actually did that.
It just has to make sense in the world. We're not saying if your character has superhuman endurance, they can have that.
Yeah.
But that has to be part of the character. Like Captain America, yeah, he can run.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also not saying that it makes the movie bad.
Yeah.
Like I love it when Tom Cruise is sprinting in his movies, like it's really cool.
I like it too.
He looks
especially
good.
Fallout.
He's also always running straight when the object is coming out behind him, like you were talking about before. But it's cool. It works sometimes, like we're not saying that you can never use these, but sometimes you could be a little more creative.
Yeah.
That's it.
It depends on the type of movie too. Sometimes it works. So my next one, it goes perfectly in keeping with that because it's also for action movies.
Have we had any overlap yet?
I don't think you've said any of mine yet, honestly.
Yeah, I don't
I haven't
think said any of mine.
We have totally different opinions.
But you've given me like, oh, and that reminds me of this one.
Yeah, me
kind of
too.
thing.
Yeah, I've thought of new ones.
All right, go ahead.
And yours are good too, just not ones I thought of. So my next one goes good in keeping with yours. It's like I feel like it's also a Tom Cruise S1. It's walking away from explosions and like not looking back.
Oh,
and having
that's
a
so
care in the
cool.
world. It is awesome.
That's so cool. Iron Man when
It
he
is.
shoots the.
But Iron Man makes more sense because he's wearing a suit of armor.
Right.
To me, it's more the people that are like, an explosion could have so much debris. And also, like, the Heat is a movie that does a good job making fun of this. I think it's in The Heat. It's definitely in The Other Guys, where they're walking away and it knocks them. And Will Ferrell's like, "What? Why do they do this in movies?" They're like, it's true. Like, it would hurt your ears. The blast of the way you'd feel the heat. You'd
Something
feel
that big for sure.
Depending on how close you are to it, it could definitely knock you
The Joker
around.
even jumped.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that for him, that was even more just for the sound. Still,
Yeah.
like they're like explosions are like pretty intense, especially the ones that they show in these movies. And I feel like the big thing is like shrapnel could just end your life in the back of your head like that, and you're not even like taking cover.
Yeah, they're walking all serious. And
There's also a great thing that makes fun of this, a song called "Cool Guys Look at Explosions," and it was like an SNL skit. Have you ever seen this? We're watching that as soon as this episode ends. Look
That's
up
cool.
"Cool Guys Don't Look at Explosions." It is great. It's
That's funny.
Will Ferrell does it. I think it's Will Ferrell and Andy Samberg, I want to say, but that one is so common. It was bigger in like the 90s, 2000s than it is now.
Yeah, this one kind of is bouncing off of my last one. It has to
Bouncing
do
off
with,
of my bouncing off?
no, bouncing off my last one.
Oh.
So we're running, and that's women running in heels.
Oh yeah, I saw that one too.
Yeah.
The iconic example is Jurassic World, right?
Yep.
The end running.
Yep.
You're running away from a Tyrannosaurus Rex and heels. Baby,
Take 'em off.
Kick those off. Oh my God, what are you doing? I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah, but she's not a hot woman anymore if she takes her heels off, Andrew.
That line lines me up with perfectly with one of my tropes, which is like the ideal that attractive women are only attractive in like a very specific circumstance. So the one that gets me is like putting glasses on a super attractive
yeah.
woman makes her an ugly nerd. Like
I mean, that's why you wear glasses. Because
Guys.
you're taken. So like you can't just have all these girls flooding over to you.
If I take this
whoa, they're not ready.
It's literally going to be an Axe commercial. But the thing is, like, that it's like Anne Hathaway. You put glasses on her. It's okay.
Right.
She's still Anne Hathaway, just with glasses.
Yeah.
To all my glasses people out there, you are not ugly just because you wear glasses.
That's true.
Like, and it's not just the glasses. It's very simple stuff. Like in the Anne Hathaway example, I think it's what Princess Diaries or something like that. It's like her hair's a little bit curly instead of straightened. They change her eyebrows a little bit. It doesn't make them like they act like it makes them into some kind of monster.
Yeah.
Like they're a werewolf, and then they like it's like the idea that a simple makeover or even as simple as just taking out a ponytail and taking off glasses literally turns them into a supermodel.
Yeah, brushing their hair.
It's like it's like Margot Robbie, like all these people that they think that they're just ugly with glasses.
Another one going along these same lines here is like in a fight or after all this stuff that these characters have endured, the guys are always like beat up, scratches, bumps, rips on their shirts and stuff. And then the girl is still like makeup on, hair looks nice,
Yeah, it's the idea that like women have to fit this certain mold in like a movie. Like
I feel like it doesn't take it away if they also look a little beat up and their clothes are dirty and their hair's messy. Like,
well,
I'm not thinking anything of it of like, oh man, now she's like, she needs to go shower. She looks like a mess.
She looks like she smells bad.
She needs to get her life together.
There's like this digs deeper into like a societal preconception that like men being rugged and worn makes them more attractive, where it like devalues a woman and like they have to look perfect. And I feel like also like feeds into the idea that like women shouldn't be like muscular or something like that. But like being like muscular also makes women look good. And I just feel like all this stuff is so stupid in movies that it's like perpetuated. You know what I mean?
Totally. What's your next one?
So my nose is so itchy. I'm sorry. I feel like it's got to be so noticeable on camera. So let's see. What's my next one? This is a big one for me. I scream at the screen with this one. It's knocking somebody out, but not restraining, not finishing the job, basically. If there's somebody you're going to kill, and you knock them out, don't like stand there with your other co-star and have a long conversation about what are we going to do next.
Yeah, like
secure that person because they're going to get up and shoot
take
your
their
friend.
weapons away.
They always get up and like shoot and miss the target and like kill their best friend, and then they're like, no, and then they finally take him out. It's like, he was there on the ground unconscious. Why didn't you do it then?
Right.
Why didn't you do it then?
Right, yeah, like just move their gun away from them, take their weapon, maybe handcuff them or tie their hands or something. That way, you know, if they do wake up, they're not
not
going to
much of a
like
threat.
attack you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big
That's
thing
a good
in
one.
horror movies. And it's a huge thing in action movies too. It's like you knock someone out, and it's like, how long does being unconscious? That's a good one too. In general, how long does being unconscious last in the real world? Usually you're unconscious and you're back awake. Like if you watch like a UFC fight, they don't leave unconscious. Like if they get KO'd or whatever, if they get like officially KO'd. So like a person being unconscious for a couple minutes is like serious brain damage.
Yeah.
Like, and you get into like them being for hours and hours and like what a day, like that's a coma.
Yeah, that's like big in like the 007 movies, you know, where he'd wake up and he's like tied to a chair. It's like, dude, you've been passed out for like a day.
They brought you to like another country.
Yeah.
You were unconscious. Like they flew you in a plane to
You have brain damage now.
Yeah. I mean, that is a big, the unconscious thing in general is big in movies because they let people, they're like, oh, he's knocked out. We're good for like a while. We're good for a couple hours.
Yeah.
No.
No,
That's probably going to wake up. Like if you maybe like invent a paralyzing agent or like, you know, something that you're injecting him with.
Yeah, movies just kind of goes to the extremes of like what the human body's capable of. You know, like either they just survive and they got shot 17 times, or someone hit them with a water bottle and they passed out for a day.
If you're a grunt in that movie, if you're like a background character, your health bar is slim. It is a measly 10 points.
Yeah.
And John Wick has 800 million, whatever you... rechargeable health meter as well with time.
He gets energy every time he gets shot.
He's like the Call of Duty where like you get a little bit of distance and you can come back and heal. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, what did we come from for the KO'd one? The knocking someone out and then just leaving them. That one,
that's a good one.
Grinds my gears.
This is my second to last one here, at least one is on my list, and that is when a villain explains their whole plan instead of actually just executing their plan.
You caught me monologuing.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite lines from that whole movie because it makes fun of it. And they put
Incredibles, by the way.
Yeah, they put that, like, see, they wrote a way of like explaining why he was doing that, you know, because he's egotistical. He finally beat his hero.
Yeah, he's a backstory with this hero.
Yeah.
And he didn't know who he was, so he was explaining like his moment to gloat.
Right.
And also the important thing too, big thing about that scene that makes it work is even though he's monologuing, he still has them. Like once he breaks free and he like throws something at him, Syndrome like doesn't lose in that moment because of monologuing. That's how they point out. That's how they're meta about it, make fun of it. They only get away because of that woman that feels bad for later
this part,
on.
No, in this part, he zapped him because he threw the tree trunk at him, missed. He zapped him, and then he was talking, and he threw him by accident.
Oh,
and he threw him like really far.
Yeah.
But again, just kind of getting caught up in his ego. But yeah, like he at least was able to defend the block. You know, like his whole plan wasn't necessarily ruined. He ruined his own plan.
I'm thinking of when he has the whole family later, which is
it
still does come back full circle to him having the whole family.
Yeah.
So like the monologuing isn't like how the hero wins in the end, which is a big thing with the monologues.
Yeah.
That annoys me a lot too, is like you're the villain. That's basically...
You can explain their intentions without it being like so blatantly obvious that they should be doing something in this moment.
Yeah. I mean, but the monologuing thing is basically plot armor. And that goes along with my thing too, one of mine too, which is like letting somebody purposely slip through your fingers basically for no other reason than plot is when you have somebody like dead to rights and you're the villain and you're like, all right, you go on, tell my story to everyone else. And it's like that person is like the main character to come back and get them later.
And see, like that makes sense if that villain just shot 3 of their best friends. You know, and it's like, look, I need you to go send a message because there's a bigger plan in place.
Yeah, but if you're like standing over like the hero in a triumphant moment, and you're like, now I've
been waiting for this moment my whole life.
Like I've shot you in the stomach and now I'm gonna leave you here because you don't deserve a quick death. And they turn around and leave. It's like you could still make sure he dies. You can still be there. And they're like, I'm gonna turn around and leave and create this perfect window of opportunity for you to escape through. That like you could write a better way out of it. And that is all I'm saying.
I agree. How many more do you got?
I think I have like 2 true ones left.
Okay. My last one here is the one that I was telling you before this episode where I can't think of any specific movie examples, but I know I've seen it in 3 or 4 of the last movies that I've watched. And it bothers me every time I see it. And I feel like I catch it a lot. And that is a left-handed handshake. Like, who does that?
I mean,
Like,
I'm left-handed. Do I shake hands with my left hand? I'm not sure.
no. I feel like it's like uncomfortable. Like, doesn't that
It
just
does not feel that does not
weird?
feel like how
Like,
I usually
this is-
shake. Yeah,
that's a handshake.
that's definitely what I do is right hand.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the reason for that is because you'd have a sword in your right hand and you would put it into your left and shake hands to show like
Respect.
yeah,
That's like a
truce or
historical-
whatever.
Yeah, why does that feel so unnatural?
Because
It's
that's
like when you put on like you know how so women's shirts, the buttons are on the other side.
Yeah.
If you've ever like tried to button up like a flannel that was not yours or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just like it like
and then you realize like is this not how it normally is?
yeah.
Like
And you have to like realize that it's
no, I'm
that is
telling you.
unusual.
I'm telling you, you're gonna see it somewhere, and it's gonna be left-handed, and it's just so weird. Like if that ever happens in real life, like sometimes your hands are full, and someone like comes in for a quick handshake, and you don't know what to do, and you actually just shake with your left. But every time I've ever done that, I'm like, that was weird.
In movies, it probably has to do with which side the camera's on and which way they want like what character to open up their body to. If they're extending an arm, it might be
Maybe.
part of the reasoning why.
Maybe I feel like, and I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it was in Across the Spider-Verse. So when I watch it again, I want to see if I can see it.
We're gonna find out.
But I know it's been in a few movies that I've seen, and every time I'm like, why? Who shakes their hand? Who shakes hands like that? It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't happen.
That's a particular one, but I like it.
What are your last few?
So I've got a couple left. One is bombs stopping at exactly the 1 second mark, or always the trope of like cut the red wire. And it'll be like a bomb that was homemade by some crazy fanatic who built this bomb in their basement. And then they're like, the red wire is the one that is, how do you know what wire? They could have picked any color wire to put in this bomb. He made it in his garage.
Yeah.
He wasn't like looking at the manual like, well, traditionally it's safest. No, he's a crazy person building a bomb. He's not like wanting to make sure you know how to defuse it. And like there's always
he
like
didn't,
these
he didn't
rules.
have any colored wires, so he painted it red.
Yeah. There's always like these hacking rules. They're like, oh, I'm gonna break into this panel. So like the green wire has to cross the it's why would they make it with these common rules that specifically make it easy for
Yeah.
you to break into it? Or like
then
a
there's a-
safe crack or something like that.
Then there's, I'd say for every movie that does that, there's an equal movie that doesn't do that. And they're always like, there is no red wire.
Yeah, that's always funny too. But the 1 second mark thing, it's like if you're gonna cut the wire, the bomb's gonna blow up in your face just as much if you cut it at 5 or if you cut it at 1. 1 is just a lot more dangerous. So
Yeah.
why did you wait till 1?
I feel like the only thing I could say to justify that is that they were like nervous.
And they needed that
And
push.
Yeah, and they needed
Dude,
like,
I'd be pretty pushed at
to
5
think
seconds
or something. But yeah,
5 seconds with a bomb in my face, I'd be like,
yeah, I'm either gonna die or I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let's
mean-
try the not.
I'm either definitely gonna die or cut a wire and maybe die.
Yeah,
But so
that's a good one.
another one is characters in movies cutting their own hair for a character transformation.
Oh, yes.
And it looks fantastic. And the one that gets in my head, so there's Jason Bourne. He cuts her hair in the first movie. I think Jason cuts her hair and they dye it. And first of all, yeah, you're a super spy with all these skills. I don't think the CIA is teaching hairstyling.
Yeah,
And haircut.
But her hair didn't look like super amazing afterwards. You know, like
Here's a better one that gets me is the shooter. Because I'm pretty sure Mark Wahlberg doesn't cut somebody else's hair. Bob Lee Swagger cuts his own hair.
Yeah.
He cuts his own ponytail off. And he's got a damn good haircut after that. And he's like out in the woods with a rusty pair of scissors cutting his own hair in the mirror. And that man, he may be a Navy
So-
SEAL, but he's not a hairstylist.
so that makes more sense than like when women do it.
Women's hair is more difficult.
When they cut their own hair. Yeah, my dad cuts his own hair. Like
But what does he do? Does he do a fade or does he do like what you have?
no, I have a fade.
Not on the top.
What do you mean? Who has a fade on the top of their head?
All kinds of people. That's an easy haircut to do. You just go over your whole head with a razor.
Oh, you mean like just one length?
Yeah, if you do one length across the whole top, that's easy. That's something you could do on your own. That's not what Bob Lee
that-
Swagger has.
Well, he doesn't have like a skin tight fade, but it does look very well kept around the sides. But when women cut their own hair, that's like exponentially harder because
It's hard to reach.
Yeah. And like I kind of get it, like Jason Bourne cutting the girl's hair because I've cut Brooke's hair, but like I didn't like doing it. It was very stressful.
Also, Bob Lee Swagger goes from being a guy who lives in the woods, lets his hair grow out, drinks out of the same beer as his dog. Like he's got like bad facial hair. He's got a long ass ponytail to like now he's putting gel in his hair.
That's funny.
That's a pretty drastic change in how you want people to perceive you. But his hair does have like there's like
A little bit of a taper.
yeah, there's a little bit of a taper, which I feel like would have been really hard to achieve with his what I assume is his knowledge about cutting hair.
Yeah.
And then I have, let's see, I have not doing CPR or generally assuming someone is dead.
Oh yeah.
Like, I get it if they're decapitated. I get it if they are ice cold and they've clearly been there for 2 days. But if there's any doubt in your mind that you rolled up on the scene of somebody dead and
You just hug him.
yeah. Try. Why are you crying? Like, they could come back. You know, like, people, especially people who've like drowned or something, that is, you can resuscitate this person if they're bled out, don't do CPR.
Yeah.
You know, you're just going to push more blood out of their body. But the like bullet train is one that annoys me a lot because that was Lemon and Tangerine. That was a huge monumental part of the movie. And that guy didn't even check for a pulse. It's your brother. You didn't check to make sure your brother's dead. He opened the door. He's like, he looks like he's dead. And you like literally sat right next to him. Didn't check for pulse. Nothing. He was presumably still breathing, just shallow.
Yeah.
That's like, you didn't try at all.
Yeah. At least that one though, he didn't see it like happen. You know, like he didn't see him potentially die, you know? So I don't know, I'm trying to justify it.
Yeah.
But it's still like
That one's
it's
pretty,
like
that one's
yeah, it's like
one of the
come on.
worst ones to me.
But like he finds him and he doesn't know how long he's been there or whatever, but still like try. But when it happens right in front of them, yeah, like what are you doing? Another one based off of that too is like when someone's doing CPR and their elbows are like bending so much.
But I at least have an excuse for that one. And the reason is because they're probably using the actor. And if you use the force of actual compressions, it would be really painful / potentially break ribs. So we just watched the Fear Street trilogy, which has quite a bit of CPR in it. And all of them are like clearly bending at the elbows. And I think it's just, yeah, they could put a dummy in there and they could do it more accurately. But if they have the actor there, they can't really like push on them like that.
I know, but you can't like maybe put a pad or something under their shirt and just not like just act like you're putting force into it.
I guess it is
actually putting force. Like I feel like it's not that hard to make it look like your body is doing the work and not your arms.
In a way, it's being lazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need to show like movement up here, which is hard to do with if you can see them touching them and you can see everything in frame, it's harder to do.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like we could do it.
I mean,
it wouldn't be
you
that
could
hard.
hide it with the shots, I'm sure,
Yeah.
if you work around it.
Yeah.
My last one, I feel like we've kind of crossed over, and it's kind of one of the biggest ones in cinema is like the damsel in distress. In the general concept of Mary Jane, of like all these people I feel like even Megan Fox to an extent, and I feel like Hollywood has tried to write around it a lot since the 2000s, where they're like, oh, like now she's spunky and she's like smacks the guy's hand away and opens the doors for herself. But like the plot point of the female character just being there to be saved. And then like she's willing to fall in love with whoever saves her. Like it doesn't matter who the person is. It's just that they saved her. That's her only box just to check on her like relationship mark.
Yeah.
But
like Gwen Stacy in the original Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah. And Spider-Man 3. And then, but I really think of Mary Jane in the original one to the point where she argued with them, where she refused to even scream in the third movie because all her character did was scream. So they had to use pre-recorded audio of her screaming for Spider-Man 3.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she refused to do it, and like I think she might have even written it to her contract that she wasn't going to do it. They dubbed it all with the screaming from the past movie. She was just frustrated with it, and then like the issues with Megan Fox and Transformers, that I think there's a lot of rumors that she wanted a bigger role, and that's how she ended up getting recast. Is because like she wanted a more significant, meaningful role, and
yeah,
I feel like this is a huge trend. I think it's getting a lot better. It's gotten a lot better, at least in like the last 10 years.
Yeah, I see that. That's a good movie trope, or a common one for sure. Is there any other ones that you can think of off the top of your head right now?
I mean, we've gone through a lot.
We have.
I think
We
I'm
each had like 12 or so.
yeah, I think I'm fresh out.
15, yeah. If there's any movie tropes that we missed, let us
Please.
know in the comments.
Yeah.
There's got to be hundreds of them that we missed.
I found it so funny going over these and like just like enjoyable like to laugh about them. So if you hit us up in the comments with these, I'd love to see ones that we missed and like tell us if there's ones that we missed that are obvious. I mean, call us stupid if you want. I want to see like a list in the comments of movie tropes.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we post new episodes every Monday and Thursday on our channel Backseat, directing on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else you get your podcasts. And then, like we said earlier, we're posting social media clips everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Can't escape them.
Yeah, so you can check us out there. Go ahead and comment down below on all of the.
Yeah, we'll bring up your comments on the show, which would be great.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and
That's a wrap.